Unit 6 is on geometry, and it's kind of one of the favorites for the kids because they get to draw lots of different shapes and investigate that kind of thing. So the unit notes that we start off with at the very beginning talk about the following definitions, and I need them to use the language of math really, really carefully in this unit. So the first one it says is attribute. An attribute is a word used to describe something. So we talked about the attributes of our kids in the class. How could you distinguish one from the other? How could you group things? That kind of thing. So an example of that for shapes would be the attributes of a triangle is that they have three sides. Now, as the kids move on into later grades, they'll learn about acute, equilateral, that kind of thing, and it's every one of those terms describes attributes of that particular triangle. So we would talk about the angles in a triangle, the number of sides, the length, the sides relative to each other, that kind of thing. Secondly, we have hatch marks. Hatch marks are these little marks right here that are used to show line segments with equal lengths. So in this very poorly drawn shape, if I see a hatch mark here and a hatch mark here, I know that those two lines are the same length. And then here we have two hatch marks and two hatch marks. We would know that these two lines are the same length. So the ones that have the one hatch mark are the same length. The ones that have the two hatch marks are the same length. Okay, parallel. Parallel and perpendicular are the two. They're kind of they go hand in hand, and they tend to be the ones that kids get mixed up with the most. Parallel, we always talk about think train tracks. Train tracks run side by side, and they never intersect. They also never diverge, which means to move away from each other. So parallel means two line segments that never intersect or diverge. And the easy way to think about parallel is there is actually, within the name parallel, within the word parallel, these two L's that run side by side, and they never cross. They never intersect, and they never diverge. So along here, with this diagram, we have these little arrows. So this arrow here and this arrow here mean that that line and that line are parallel. And then these two arrows and these two arrows mean that those two lines are also parallel. And we put one here and two here because that line with the one and that line with the two are not parallel. The two and the two are parallel, the one and the one are parallel. Perpendicular. Two line segments that meet at right angles. I said to the kids, think about timeout, and they all know what it looks like to have a timeout in basketball, where the referee holds up two hands and makes the sign of a T like this to signal a timeout. And we draw that little box in there. That means it's a right angle. A vertex is the point where line segments meet. So in this case, we have a triangle, and this one is labeled, that vertex is labeled A, B, and C. So we refer to this point as point B, but we refer to this angle as angle A, B, C. We could also refer to it as angle C, B, A. But the angle we're referring to has the middle term, in this case it's B. That one there, because it's in the middle, means that we're referring to this angle here. So if we were referring to this angle over here, we would say it is angle ACB or angle BCA. If we were referring to this angle up here, we would say it was angle BAC or CAB. And we say it this way. So angle ABC, angle CBA, or so on. These are just some examples of what it would look like, and this is a Venn diagram. So this was used a little bit later on in the unit.